This episode of InTune features Abby V, who came to the public eye in late January 2020 with his video 73 Ragas, which went viral on social media. Abby, a singer, songwriter, composer, and producer, talks about his start in music, his love for everything pop, the synergies from his training in both Western and Indian classical systems, and of course, how 73 Ragas came about. He demonstrates voice training tips and sings snippets of a Tamil and a Hindi song. For the full detailed article on Abby V and much more on Indian classical music and musicians, visit lakshmianand.com, lakshmianand.com. So could you tell me a little bit about how your dad actually started you on music and how you got into this whole concept of ragas and your familiarity with them? I would love to hear about that.
Yes, absolutely. My dad has been a huge influence, as you know, and he is a singer himself. He's not a career musician, but he is very passionate about music, and he didn't get the chance to learn music when he was growing up. So he wanted me to learn, and initially, even before I started learning, actually, he has a huge fascination for ragas. Even though he hasn't formally trained in it, he's very fascinated about, the different, and again, Hindustani and Carnatic. So he would tell me about, Sahana, and he'd tell me about Shivranjani and Mand and Khamas and Bhatiyar and all these beautiful ragas. So his, I think one of my earliest introductions to the world of ragas was definitely through him. When I was a child, I was too young to even understand what a raga meant. But I remember we'd have these games that we'd play as a family, like bedtime games kind of a thing. And it would be this thing where he would introduce us to... So I was very familiar with pop songs, a lot of pop songs. And he used that to sort of train me into the world of... or ease me into the world of ragas. So I knew a lot of like Bollywood songs, old Bollywood songs, new ones, a lot of pop songs. So he would identify the songs that are based on a raga. And he would sort of tell me, he would say, okay, the song that I used to sing Mere Nana Savan Bhadam all the time. So he would say, Mere Nana Savan Bhadam is a raga called Shivranjani, and that's why it goes like this. And this is different from Jab Deep Jalyana, which again I would sing, which is a family favorite. And he would say, why is it different? Because this is in Rag Yaman, and there's a Yaman Kalyan in there a little bit. And he would sort of, just start me off. It was like a beautiful entry point into the world of ragas and notes and swaram and sargam and everything. So we'd play games even, like he would sing a snippet of a raga, and he would ask us to identify a song that we know. So he would pick a raga that we already know a song in, and then he would say, I'll sing this raga and you tell me which song you know in this raga. So if he sings Shivranjani, then we have to sing Mere Nana Savan Bhadam. If he sings, Yaman, then Jab Deep Jalyana. So kind of like that. And so that was a beautiful way for me to, and he switches pretty easily as well. So it sort of got me introduced to all of this and looking at music, not just from a, we learn the song and we sort of, we sing it like the original, but also understanding, like the meat and bones behind it and seeing why the song sounds like this, as opposed to another song which sounds happier or sad or whatever. It's because of the notes and the ragas and all that emotion that goes behind it. So I thank him for this. And I think it's completely his fascination for ragas that has transferred to me. And I decided to go even further with, understanding even more ragas. And so we still have I have such great, we still continue to have so many discussions about ragas, how he tells me about, like the scope of a raga, like Kalyani, and he used to demonstrate with different songs and all that stuff. And we still have those discussions. When I'm tuning a song, for instance, I still go to him and I say, I'm thinking of putting the song for, and setting the song to Bhatiyar or something. And he'll say, why don't you try this? And, have this note in there instead and all that stuff. So I think completely that fascination. And then besides besides the whole raga thing, he used to perform quite a bit here, and he still does in North America. So he would do a lot of Hindi, Tamil, Malayalam songs, and so I would just accompany him on stage, and I think I grew up listening to him sing and practice those songs, and so that was I sort of just tagging along with him for rehearsals and the shows and everything just got me really intrigued, and I started accompanying him as a child. I started singing Mirin and Savan Padung and all that stuff. So we would rehearse also at home, and he was very much part of like my experience of how to learn, like a Bollywood song or something, and learn the meaning behind it, the emotion behind, the dynamics, the vocal dynamics, all of these things he has completely taught me. So that's been my earliest and probably most significant, um, exposure to music.
So, what was your routine like when you were going to school? I mean, did you have music as a part of your routine when you like came back from home, from school, came back home?
Not, it wasn't like a regimented routine or anything. I was, my parents were very chill with all that. So it was more along the lines, it was just that music was always at home. So we didn't have like a scheduled, practice session or, like a rehearsal or anything like that, unless there's shows coming up. But yeah, I think I remember watching a lot of shows, like a lot of the reality shows with my parents. And that was a favorite pastime. That was one of our favorite things to do as a family. So we'd watch a lot of like Indian Idol and Saregama and American Idol and Canadian Idol, all these shows, and we would just have our own opinion. Like we'd be so engrossed in the whole thing, the music, and completely only the music shows. So anything that was there, we'd be. So that actually really helped me because I was able to see what like benchmark in terms of like what are other singers doing who are about 10 years older than me as a child, and I could see what the industry is, how judges are discussing, and my dad and I would have these discussions about every singer. So a lot of that, a lot of just music in general, and the games I told you about, that would be there. We practice for songs or shows that are coming up. So I think it was a very sort of at least until my teens, late until my late teens, just a lot of fun-filled music. Not too much of like strict regimented practice or anything like that. It was just a lot of just lighthearted discussions, games, television, all that stuff. Everything related to music, though.
So, could you tell me a little bit about how you got started with Ranjani and Gayatri, and also your experience with Raji Gopalakrishnan?
Absolutely, yes. Very, very grateful for all three of my, for having the experience with all three of my gurus. All of them actually, it was around the same time that I joined with Raji Aunty and with Ranjini and Gayatri. I So with Ranjini and Gayatri, it was actually that I wasn't too, I wasn't exposed to a lot of hardcore uh, Carnatic music. I was exposed to a little bit of Hindustani, a lot of Western, like I was training in Western classical, but not too much of Carnatic. And when I heard them, I remember I heard them on the television. One of their concerts was being telecast, and I was in the other room and I just heard, what they were singing from the other room, and I just came running, and I was mesmerized that whole evening because of the way that they sounded, and it was so cool to me. They made it so appealing, and especially the abhang and ragam malika swaram and everything. It was just a beautiful entry point into the world of Carnatic music, especially, and classical music in general. So I was very much intrigued, and I found a few recordings of theirs online, and I was very, very interested. I started getting very interested in classical music because of them, and I don't know what level of confidence I had. I legit knew nothing about classical music at that time, but I just called them up and I said, "Hey, I'm coming to India this summer. Would it be possible to take some lessons?" And it's completely their greatness that they took me on as a student. Of course, they took an audition, and we did a virtual audition from here. This is, yeah, I think 2000, late 2000s, I believe, or early 2010s. And yeah, and then I went to India and I learned from them. But I couldn't go back every year because I was also pretty young, and I couldn't stay alone in Chennai. We don't have too much family in Chennai, so and with internships and everything here. And then at that same time, I was also under the tutelage of Srimati Raji Gopalakrishnan, another very esteemed musician from Chennai, as you know. And she comes here and still does actually to North America every summer to conduct workshops for North American classical students. And very, very grateful to her because she resides here in Toronto for about 3 months or so every year. And she trains a bunch of students. And I was very, very fortunate because she completely sort of, encouraged me to just dwell into this world of classical music with especially with Manodharma Sangeetam. I remember I went to her the first class. I remember I went to her and I said, "Auntie, I would love to learn Kalpanaswaram." I had no idea what it was, but I was very fascinated by it because I heard all these people singing it, and she said, "Okay, try it." So I said, "I don't know. I have no idea what to do. Like I didn't even know how to put talam properly, and I don't even know if I knew a song that I could sing Swaram for." And she said, "Okay, I'll teach you a song, and then next week we'll start singing Swaram." And then she sang one round. She's like, "Okay, try." So she has that kind of an energy in class, where she doesn't let you hold back. If you want to do something, you do it, and you learn by doing it. And that's a beautiful, especially for me, that just works like a charm because I'm someone who learns by doing. And I completely owe that to her because she made me feel empowered as a musician. Like there's nothing I couldn't do. And everything, she's just completely got me started with Kalpanaswaram and Neraval singing and Tadavana Pallavi and all of that. So I owe all three of my gurus. Same thing with Ranjani Akka and Gayatri Akka. Just so encouraging with everything that I do. With in class, I'm very fond of like Hindustani music and all that. So we'd have sessions where we talk about how a rag is presented, in Carnatic music, a ragam, and then the same rag in Hindustani, how the flavors, how they change, and how we can sort of somehow see the difference and try to incorporate these beautiful different flavors at the appropriate moments. So all of these things I completely owe to my gurus.
Could I ask you to sing a song, please?
Yes. So I'll sing one of my favorite songs from recent times, which is a beautiful Tamil song by Shankar Ahsan Loy and sung by Shankar Sir. It's from the film Vishwarupam, so I'll sing that one. அவ்வாறு நோக்கினான் இவ்வாறு நாடுவே கண்ணாடி முன் நின்று பார்த்து கொண்டேன் ஒன்றாகச் செய்திட 100 நாடகம் ஒத்திகைகள் செய்து எதிர்பார்த்திருந்தேன் எதிர்பாராமலே அவன் எதிர்பாராமலே அவன் பின்னிருந்து வந்து என்னை பம்பரம சுருட்டி விட்டு உலகுந்த பெருவாயன் எந்தன் வாயோடு வாய் பதித்தார் உன்னை காணாது நான் இன்று நான் இல்லை விதையில்லாமல் வேறில்லை. It's a beautiful song.
It is. And you sang it beautifully as well.
Thank you so much.
Could you tell me a little bit about how you synthesize your Western training and your Indian training? Because I can see in the method in which you utilize your voice that you've had training in Western music as well, which you're able to convert and use so nicely in your singing this Indian pop song. So if you could tell us a little bit about that and also maybe explain some of the different exercises that you've learned, because I think that would help a lot of aspiring singers.
Definitely, yeah. Western music has been a constant in my life, and I still continue to train from my vocal coaches from time to time. This was actually, I began with Western, so a lot of a lot of what I sing after that, or whatever I've learned after that, I've used the framework that I have learned from my Western training. So we trained in so many different aspects that I still continue to use, like for instance, breathing and the different the vocal passages, the vocal cavities, how to produce your sound from different parts of your head, your chest, your nose, how to bridge these different voices. That's very, very important. Yeah, I think a lot of these things I completely owe to my training in Western classical. And you asked about exercises, tons, so many. To begin with, one of the greatest exercises that I still continue to do as much as I can is like lip drills and the tongue drills. So especially in South Asian classical music, there's a lot of consonants, right, with the swaram and the sargam. So sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa. So a lot of that when we do, especially in Carnatic music, when we do kalpana swaram in second speed and third speed, it gets pretty fast. So your sometimes your mouth doesn't keep up with how fast the consonants have to be pronounced. So for a lot of that, your mouth needs to have more, you need to work on blood circulation before your performance, all that. So we have a long warm-up routine in Western where we do tons and tons of exercises. So that really helps. And I see the difference, lip drills and tongue drills are like just a basic, and you can do this with like a lot of the, any jante vashes, sarle vashes, you can just do basic exercises like, you can just keep going up from that, like every semitone, and just do this for a constant like good 2-3 minutes, and you'll see the difference. You'll feel the vibration around your mouth, and I see the difference, the day that I do this versus the day that I don't do it, and I see the difference in how I'm pronouncing, like the ease with which I am able to sing fast consonants back to back with like fast words. Like I don't rap too much, but like with the swaram raps and all that stuff like that I do. It really makes a difference. So stuff like that is hugely important for every singer to do. Breathing, we would have we'd have exercises where we can't breathe until we get to a certain note. Like for instance, la 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 la, and you have to keep going, but we can only take a breath. So she would, our vocal coach would say, you can take a breath after the second or the third rep, or after the fifth one, and stuff like that. And we have to keep changing it. Doing that has been really helpful so we do it right before a performance. You can see the difference once again. And then for me, as especially when my voice is changing, doing like the different vocal passages, figuring out where your sound really comes out best. There's different ways of producing your sound. There's in Indian classical music, it's mostly the chest voice. But in pop music, the head voice is a really popular sound, especially in like American music. So I try to use that a lot, and then bridging it. There's exercises like and you shouldn't be able to hear like that. So I just transition between different parts of like the head and the chest and the nose, but you shouldn't be able to hear like a crack in the middle. And initially, when I would start to do it, I'd hear the crack very obviously, and it took me a long time to smoothen it out so that the bridge is nice and smooth. And stuff like that. That's really helped because now it's easy for me to traverse between the two. If I want to do, like I've done some original songs where I've done, different, like layered it with different vocals, different parts of, like the head voice and the chest voice, and I keep going back and forth. So stuff like that is really intriguing, and it sort of just pushes your boundary because it's a beautiful sound that you can explore, right? So it pushes the boundaries. You're able to do more. So yeah, very grateful for all that experience.
Thank you. Could you tell me a little bit about how you utilized your Indian training or the things that you have picked up from Indian classical music and incorporated them into your own compositions, maybe of the Western genre?
Yeah, so many ways. There's so many ways that my training in Indian classical music has helped. One that really comes to my mind right now is the concept of swaram, sargam, which is what, in Indian classical music, that's kind of like our framework. We know the swaram, like we deal with, that's like the backbone of anything that we sing or play. And knowing that really helps. Of course, we have that in Western as well in terms of solfege, with like we have the do re mi fa sol la ti do, but it's not emphasized on as much. With Indian music, it's there, and like it's a great tool when you want to learn something, learning a new song. You just notate it easily, or when you're composing something, like you said, you know exactly what, if you want like a darker sort of a mood all of a sudden in the bridge of the song or something, then you can employ these, like the komal swars, or the lower frequency of every note and stuff like that. So that really helps. And even today, when I'm learning a song, whether it's English or Punjabi or Tamil or Hindi, whatever it is, I still notate it right below. So like any song, like for all the times that you rain on my parade, I'll notate that, like so I'll actually notate it. If I don't know the song already, when I'm learning it, I'll actually be notating it. So it's really helped, and that's just one example. The whole concept of talam, like we have such beautiful tala varieties, especially in Carnatic music. We have the nade and with all of that. So when I'm doing a composition, for instance, I've written songs where I follow like a verse chorus format. So usually the bridge of the composition is this one part where it takes a slightly different route. It has a different mood or something, and then it comes back in at the end with the chorus. So for the bridge, I try to make it a different raga, or I'll make it a different nade maybe. So if the whole song is in Krishna nade, I'll make it Chatushram, for that part, or something like that, and I think these are things that we can sort of employ in so many different kinds of music, and it's just I think we already have such tall examples like Rahman sir, who I think has been. That's why his music is so magical. You hear it and it's just so, it's a whole different world, because he so beautifully amalgamates the best of South Asian classical music with Western, with like the chords, and if he has like a bit of a, like there's some songs where he'll have like a beautiful Natakurinji or Kamas in the middle or something like that, but then he'll pair that up with a really sort of augmented chord or diminished something, and it'll be really nice. And he layers it so beautifully, and you have people like that to sort of lead the way. So I'm just following, honestly, what all of them are doing.
Thank you. So now I have to come to the essential question, which is how 73 Ragas came about. And so how did you get that idea in the first place, and how did you execute it in what seems to be a really very smooth, one single take, without any cuts in the shot at all?
Thank you so much. It was a very sudden, it was just a very casual idea, to be honest. There was very little planning that went into it. It was I just suddenly had this idea, because I love pop culture. I love anything. I'm very pop. So 73 Questions with the Vogue series, it's very popular on YouTube. So I've been following it for some time, and I like it. I like how it's they just follow a celebrity around the house, and they just have to answer some questions, and it's pretty fun. It's really interesting to watch. So just as random one night, I couldn't sleep, and I was just thinking about ragas and everything, and I just thought, what? Why don't we do the same concept but with ragas? And I wanted to do it with both Hindustani and Carnatic, with equal importance to both, because it's not too often that you hear. You might hear the ragas, but it might be presented in a certain style, So it's I wanted to present each. So if I'm doing a God Malhar, it should be exactly like a God Malhar in Hindustani. And if I'm doing like a Jana Ranjani, it's very Carnatic. So I wanted to pool all of that in under the same roof, and have it, and have that kind of a. And I just wanted to sing all these ragas honestly back to back and see if I could do it. I just decided to one day. I called my friend Karan Shima, who's a wonderful cinematographer and director here in Toronto. I just called him and I told him about the idea. I told my parents, and my parents were initially they were a little bit iffy. They thought it might be a little bit boring because it's gonna be at least like 15 minutes or so of me just singing ragas, and they thought it might not be as relatable. And I was definitely a little bit scared because this was my very first online project. I had barely done anything. I was very nervous about putting stuff online. I'm very comfortable on stage because I've been performing ever since I was a child. I used to accompany my dad all the time. But putting stuff online was definitely something I was a little bit nervous about. And yeah, and I took my time in terms of all these years. I didn't venture into the online space. But the moment I had this idea, I was like, you know what? I think I'd like to begin my online journey with this, and I just had some conviction. I knew that it would. It's something that intrigues me, so I'm sure there must be someone else who might find it fascinating. And we just shot a video this one day. It was all live, so I had a mic clipped, and we recorded it, and we just I think that the following that Friday or something, we uploaded the video. And yeah, very little planning, to be honest. There was we didn't even take like a photo for the thumbnail or anything like that. The thumbnail is just a still from the video itself. So just we had no idea that it would, people would even enjoy it. But yeah, and I just decided to upload, no promotion whatsoever, and I uploaded it. But all of a sudden, within about I remember I uploaded around 5 p.m. in the evening one day, and within a couple of hours, all these people that I had usually, when around that time, if I uploaded something, I'd have my circle who watched the video, and like the comments would be from known faces and all that stuff. But all of a sudden, I'm getting comments from around the world, with so many people from the music industry. Like I remember Srini, playback singer, he was one of the first people to comment on the video, and I had no idea how he saw it because I didn't send this video to anyone. And him and so many other people just started commenting, and that's when, that night I was like, okay, maybe this video is doing well. Okay, that's nice. But the next morning I wake up, and that's when I was like, wow, it's kind of, that experience of sort of, I'm not sure if, yeah, I think, that virality, when that hit, it was kind of unbelievable because I never expected that video that's all about classical music. It was completely about, like just classical music, right? There's no other, I don't even sing like a film song or anything. I was very surprised that happened, especially given, my parents were also like, at the beginning, they were like, we're not so sure and all that stuff. But this was just crazy. And I remember getting messages and texts, and like, I think it completely on WhatsApp, especially, it really blew up. So a lot of people got this as a forward and stuff like that. So that really helped. And I was just over the moon because it was completely unexpected. Sometimes, now when I'm releasing a project, I have more of a, like a strategy. I'll say, okay, you know what, we'll take a picture for the thumbnail and we'll upload it on this day at this time, and we'll promote it before on Instagram and stuff like that. For that, there was like nothing. So I'm very surprised that happened. But yeah, it's just so grateful for all the love. I can't tell you how blessed I am because it just made me connect with so many people that I didn't even know was possible. Like and it was right at the beginning of the pandemic. So I, got this opportunity to just make friends from all around the world, with musicians, with lovers of music, with just, just on Instagram and all that stuff. It's been amazing. And even from musicians, so much support. I remember right after releasing the video, I think the third day or something, I got a WhatsApp voice note from Sri S.P. Balasubramaniam uncle. Can you believe that? Such a legendary musician. And he sent me a voice note saying the most encouraging things ever. Like I still have that voice note with me, and he sent me a handwritten letter as well, which I still have, and it's something that I will always treasure. And he said the most incredible things about the video and how he saw it, and I believe he shared it also. And for me that was just it just completely made up for. And that was at the beginning, as I said, of the pandemic. So everything that was going on was just like all of this made up for all of the setbacks that the pandemic came with. But yeah, just very, very fortunate that it did well, and that I got a lot of blessings and support.
What are your plans going on forward from now? And what's new? What's upcoming? What's exciting?
Yeah, a lot of plans in terms of music projects that I'm working on at the moment. So during the pandemic, I got a chance to work with a lot of musicians from India and the States, and even from here remotely. And I think that's the beauty of the age that we live in. We're able to collaborate and work on music even when we've never met. So a lot of the collaborations that I've done in the past also, I've never met them, but I've made friends for life now with Shivangi and Antara and Aishwarya and so many of the other incredible musicians that I've collaborated and I've met. And I have some very, very interesting projects that I'm working on at the moment with some very, very special artists. So there's a few albums, a lot of originals that are coming out, and that should be happening. So right now things are getting better here. We're all vaccinated in Toronto, so hopefully those projects come out very soon. And a lot of travel is coming up for a lot of travel that was booked right around the time of 73 Ragas. All of that is happening now. So I'm traveling to, I'll be coming to India, I think, in a couple of weeks, hopefully, and the UK and the US. I'm doing a tour. So yeah, some very, very exciting projects.
Sounds nice. Now, could you tell us some little known facets of Abby, things that we might not be aware of until now? Could be anything, doesn't have to be music.
I feel like honestly, I'm so on Instagram. I'm just so I've been putting out so much on stories and all that stuff that people already know so much about me. I wonder if there's anything that they don't know yet. But yeah, I'm a big foodie, so I post a lot of like on my stories and all that stuff. I post a lot of my cooking experiments and my whatever I eat and all that stuff. Especially coffee. I love coffee. So I'm really big on trying different kinds of coffee. I try to make very experimental recipes that follow very, very experimental ones, and I get a lot of flack for it sometimes. And yeah, so I do that. And
so what's one really off the wall coffee that you might have made?
There's so many. I can't even tell you how. Some of the ones are just very, very weird. I put coffee in in dahi, in mor.
Okay.
That's one that I've had. I've had coffee and peanut butter. I guess that's not too bad. I've had coffee. I've had it all, like you name it. I've had coffee with lemonade, which was disgusting. Please do not try this ever to anyone who's watching this. Which is very bad. I saw the recipe on the Starbucks website, so I decided to follow it. It was so bad. And it's hilarious when I see all the comments and people say, "Why are you doing this yourself? You're a singer. Why don't you take care of your voice better? Why do you have to, why do you have to let your voice go through all of this?" So it's very, very funny. But so I've made that into like a series now, my coffee experiments series on Instagram. So I'm very fond of that. I'm very fond of food. A lot of different cuisines like Thai. I like Italian. I like Mexican. I'm a big foodie. I'm a vegetarian, but I like to try whatever I can with all these different cuisines. Yeah, and pretty much besides that, I think I like acting. I'm very fond of like the actual art of acting. I've done some theater in school, but recently I haven't done too much because music has just been forefront. But I'm very fond of like the art and like the study of like acting and how do you emote with your eyes and the role that your eyebrows play and your hands, like the placement of your hands all that like really intrigues me. And I try to like when I watch a performance, I look for these things, and I really try to like I think of myself like a critic, and I sort of critique the performance that way. So I'm very fond of acting, performances, theater, drama, all of that. So hopefully I get to dwell on that sometime soon.
Well, thank you so much. But could you finish again with another piece of music, if you don't mind?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll sing a Hindi song, which I usually end my interviews with, which is a beautiful Rafi Saab classic. I'm a big fan of Rafi Saab, of course. Who isn't?
Out of curiosity, do you change your Shruti based on what kind of song it is?
Yeah, all the time, all the time.
Okay.
Especially when I haven't done like today, I didn't get a chance to do proper like a warm up.
Okay.
So that in like during days like these, the key really matters. So I try to, and since I do like different like for me, of course, for classical it's always fixed. It's I know C sharp D is usually what it is, but for like film songs and stuff like that, it depends, especially for duets, because sometimes they make it in the key of the female singer, or sometimes they make it in the key of the male singer.
Right.
So
yeah, because I was thinking that would make it tough. I've always thought the playback singing for females would be very difficult because it's always so high. I mean, it's beyond 6 and above for the females. I always used to wonder how it is for the male. So I suppose everybody struggles a little bit.
Actually, I remember up until the time of like the 90s and early 2000s, I think it was pretty much all of like it was mostly in the CD range, because I was very comfortable for the male singers.
Right.
But recently, with Rahman sir coming in and all these other great musicians experimenting with different sounds, we have songs in different key registers and all that stuff.
And that's again probably something that your Western training has helped you, right? To be able to switch these keys, and you can probably switch your voices when you sing, which helps you to reach maybe the very high registers without getting hoarse if you were to use only your chest register.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I for the very high ones, I try not to, because sometimes when you're when you're just pushing your chest voice too much, it's like really unhealthy, and it's really nice to sort of. But of course, in classical music, you can't afford to do that because that's not a very welcome sound. If I go, that wouldn't like no one. They would just like throw me out because it would be the head voice, and I can't sing it that way. So I have to sing it with the chest, with that weight in there. But for pop songs, yeah, you can definitely do that. And I'd love to sort of, I'm trying to bring in the sound in even in like the pop scene in India today. This that sound is not as popular as it is in like R&B and pop music here, in hip hop and stuff like that in America. So yeah, I think people just need to get used to like male singers singing in that head voice. It's a nice sound. It's a very nice sound. I really like it. So I'll sing a Rafi Saab classic, which is one of my favorites, and I usually finish off my interviews and all that stuff with this song. So I'll sing this. अभी ना जाओ छोड़कर कि दिल अभी भरा नहीं, अभी ना जाओ छोड़कर कि दिल अभी भरा नहीं, अभी अभी तो आई हो, अभी अभी तो अभी अभी तो आई हो, बाहर बन के छाई हो, हवा जरा महक तो ले, नजर जरा बहक तो ले, ये शाम ढल तो ले जरा, ये शाम ढल तो ले जरा, ये दिल संभल तो ले जरा, मैं थोड़ी देर जी तो लूं, नशे के घूंट पी तो लूं, अभी तो कुछ कहा नहीं, अभी तो कुछ सुना नहीं, अभी ना जाओ छोड़ कर, कि दिल अभी भरा नहीं, अभी ना जाओ छोड़ कर, कि दिल अभी भरा नहीं.
Thank you so much. That was lovely.
Thank you. One of my absolute favorite songs.